Very much so. We didn't want to be blinded by it, but we did want to pay tribute to its importance. And one of the reasons why the game has endured is because these early editions did have this dynamic, lasting effect on people's imaginations and psyches. That's why they stuck with the game, because a lot of people try to relive it. And that's why the current iteration of the game, 5th edition, it didn't start with a brand new realm. They went to the Forgotten Realms, which was, printed in 1987, and that became the basis of it. And all these stories and a lot of the key characters and villains are all born of the old. And Waterdeep wasn't invented for Dragon Heist Waterdeep. This is an old city. The stuff in Storm King's Thunder is pulled from, homage to other stuff. The Curse of Strahd, it goes back to all the Ravenloft stuff. And what they're doing in Undermountain, which just came out, is, it's a famous old dungeon, and Tomb of Annihilation is a riff on the, modern riff on the Tomb of Horrors, and then Yawning Portal had they redid all these old classic dungeons. So everything was a look back. My first game playing 5th edition, I did Princes of the Apocalypse, which is going back to Elemental Evil and Village of Hamlet. So I think it's part of it, but it's not reductive, and it's not just like, let's redo it our way, like a Hollywood remake. They actually incorporate some of the history and stories into these things. So if it's in timeline, like what they're doing with Hallister and Mad Mage, they're not like getting rid of all the old stuff. It actually like works into a greater narrative. But all this old stuff is then important. So it's not just important because it had pure nostalgic value. They're taking it on a narrative and story level as well. So that philosophy, I think, is very healthy and still forward thinking. And so while a lot of this book is looking backwards and it's tripped down memory lane, it still reminds you of what the potentials of the current game is, where it's going and why it keeps enduring and working, because so much of it inspires you to use your imagination to do things. You talk about Star Wars. Well, Star Wars has one definitive narrative. Everybody knows it's like the myth of Darth Vader. They have like a specific story. But if you talk about a Sararak, everyone's had a different story interacting with a Sararak or the Tomb of Horrors. Did you beat him? Did he beat you? Like there's a difference there. So, Star Wars is much more in that oral tradition of Homer, and the classics, which I love. I think it's just like foundational mythic storytelling, fairy tale. And Dungeons and Dragons, it's like this wonderful tool for you to go create your own heroes and stories, and riff off those ones too. And maybe you're going to tap in subconsciously to the Joseph Campbell myth and all that stuff. Maybe you won't. Maybe you're anti-heroes. There's a lot of different ways it can go, but a lot of the games, they give you the framework to go do that. And what are those tropes, and what are the building blocks of narrative storytelling that you can then use and incorporate into your little collaborative storytelling group.